Okay, we installed this tank and these gutters and set it up to collect rainwater. Now, one of the problems you have collecting rainwater out of a gutter and off a roof is there's an awful lot of leaves and dirt and garbage. We put screens over the gutters, but that doesn't necessarily preclude all the dirt getting blocked from coming over here. So what this is simply an intermediate step going from the gutters to the tank. The water will run into this, and this is just a 4-inch PVC pipe. It fills this up prior to going over into the tank. There's a valve located at the bottom of this tank so that you can drain it. There's also a plug that you can unscrew to completely clean it. As the water fills up, it overflows into the tank until the tank gets full. Now, I don't have a bypass on any of this. So when the tank gets full, it's either going to come out the top or it's going to come somewhere. So what I've done is just put this loop in, and when it fills up, it'll fill up and then run over and run out. There's also a hole that I have drilled in the side of this thing to let me know when there's water coming out of it. I don't know where the hole's at. Oh, it's right there. So, now, to shock this tank prior to using it, unscrew the lid. And as you can see, this tank is pretty full at this time. And the easiest, this is the shock that, just the pool shock that we're going to use. Don't use a whole lot of it. This is a drill and a mixer. And this is a paint mixer that you can buy at a paint store. It mixes 5-gallon buckets. And it's pretty effective. Now when you slide it in here, you'll notice that after a while, and it takes a little while to get it stirred up. I mean, you got 300 gallons here. And then start stirring it up, and then just slowly pouring in. And you can see how the water's being circulated in the tank. I'm also picking up all the trash off the bottom of the tank in the process. And that's it. And if you'll notice, if you can see, the water is now pretty cloudy. And it's got a lot of sediment off the bottom of the tank that's been stirred up. And while that's not advantageous, it serves two purposes. One, when you're stirring up the material off the bottom of the tank, you're exposing it to the chlorine, and so you're killing anything bad in there, as well as just kind of stirring it up and letting it settle out again. And like I said, it'll take about a day, 24 hours for it to settle out. You can take out alum, which is a material that you get at the stores for baking and such, and you can stir this up and you can pour some alum in it, and the alum is what actually is what the city uses to clarify their water, and so it'll cause everything to settle out. And that's that. This is the outlet that services both of these tanks, and underneath these covers I have a valving system set up to where you can turn this tank on or off and turn that tank on and off so that you can isolate the tanks from one another and control the flow. And this, of course, is the filter system that we use. Now, after the tanks have been shocked, and you let them sit for 24 hours because you stir them up, and when they get stirred up, you take up all the junk off the bottom, and get it suspended. So you need to leave it for about 24 hours to let everything kind of settle out again. This particular filter here is a sediment and a carbon filter to help remove some of the chlorine that we introduced, so that we can get the stuff into the house a little bit, or put it into storage so it has a little bit less chlorine in it than it would coming straight out of here. Before you hook this thing up, you might want to let this run for just a little bit. Enough, estimate how much water is contained in the pipe from here to the tank, so that you can just dump out anything, any trash that's still in the piping. This particular thing is set up with just garden hoses, as it were. I should have the stage hands doing this. Maybe that won't leak too bad. So now what we're doing is we're just filling up this filter. And we have enough, it'll leak. Oh well. You let it run a little bit, make sure you get all the air out of it so that you're using the whole filter. Rinse that off, and then just simply start filling the tank up. So just filling up the jug. Now you notice it's running actually pretty fast for being a gravity-fed system and going to a filter. And so, of course, when you want to collect the water, because you have to shock the water previous and let it set, you don't want to come out here and get just a gallon. You want to come out and get a 30-day supply, maybe 30, 35 gallons at a time. But as you can see, it fills up pretty quick. Now this does have just a little bit of chlorine left in it, and when we actually use it, we'll run it through a Berkey water filter, which will take the balance of the chlorine out. Now as far as servicing this thing, of course the obvious is to change the filter, but to help get rid of some of the some of the buildup of the sediment that's in here, you just go to a water faucet, city water faucet, and just backflow this, and it pushes a lot of the sediment that was collected in there out, which just extends the life of the. And of course, it's freezing, so I'm going to turn that up so it'll drain. Okay.
Something I want you guys to make sure and talk about. So I did do a cost analysis on this setup. I didn't do all this.
Okay. To clean the Berkey filter, you just use a scrunchie, and you're just going to rub up and down on the sides, because as these filters get plugged, you can see the black that comes off of it. The bottom is going to be worse than the top. There's also an attachment that they make, which we do maybe once a year. So you can see all the black that came off. That you can actually attach to here, attach a garden hose, and it will back flush the filters to clean them out. And we've been using this for a couple of years, 2.5 years, and we still have the original filters. We did have 4 in there, but this one had started leaking on the bottom, so we just pulled it out and plugged it. So we're using 3 right now. 2 actually allows you to put more water in the top, but then it takes longer for it to drain into the bottom where you can drink it. So this is a good compromise for us with the 3 filters. And this is a jug that we collected from outside. And we just poured the jug of water into the top. And we picked this particular size. It comes in several different sizes because it will hold a whole jug of water, but this one still has some water on the bottom. That's the water that's been filtered. And you can see how it's starting to filter, how it's dripping. So it does take about half an hour to dump a whole gallon, to filter a whole gallon down into the bottom. And then to get water. And it's very, very clean tasting, very fresh, no smells, no taste, no nothing. It's very good water.
Makes great coffee.